why do husbands seem to fall into two opposite extremes, hyperaggressive or spineless? It's interesting that you say husbands, not men. So I'm assuming you mean specifically husbands. I'll tell you, I don't think it's necessarily that there are two kinds of husbands, the hyperaggressive ones and the spineless ones. I think what you might be surprised to hear is that these two extremes are one guy. There was one guy who was expressing his masculinity, and it was read as aggressive. It was read as gruff, and it was met with rejection. And so this husband realized that if he were to speak in any way that was masculine whatsoever, it would be considered aggressive. And so he shut down and he silenced himself and he became spineless. And now the complaint against him is the opposite. Why don't you speak up? Why don't you have an opinion? Why don't you ever suggest things? Why don't you take initiative? And in many, many, many cases, he did take initiative. He did suggest things. He did share his thoughts, his feelings, his opinions, and it was reacted to as if it were offensive or invasive or uncouth. And being a gentleman, he just shut that down and retreated inside. And now you say he's spineless. Let's suggest a solution to this. If you're a wife who has such a complaint, I might suggest to you, and I'm in no way implying that you should tolerate abuse, but what I am saying is your husband is not one of your girlfriends. And sometimes when he expresses himself, it may come off a little strong, a little intense, a little masculine. That's why you married a man. That's what you got into this for. If you're going to shrink away like you're being affronted every time he expresses his strength, well, in most cases, what he will do eventually is just turn that off, and then you won't have a man. You'll have one physically present in the house, but he's not going to act like any type of man, at least not in your presence. And then you'll have that complaint, which leaves you frustrated and lonely and confused. My advice to wives who have this question, presumably the one who asked this question is a wife who's experiencing this, is invite your husband to just be himself again. And don't be afraid. His strength isn't an attack against you. In fact, to the contrary, when you support his strength, he will muster all that strength to defend you and to protect you.